Hello, good morning. How are you today? Good? Alright, I would like to welcome administrators, faculty members, staff and students to our special seminar, In the Dark, Media Ethics During the Tham Luang Cave Crisis Situation. I am Methi Suksan, an Associate Director's English Study Program, and I will be an MC for the event today. First of all, please allow me to invite Dr. Vararuth or Dr. Tina, the Dean of the Faculty of Communication Arts and Design, to give an opening speech.
Good morning, and thank you for joining today's seminar, In the Dark, Media Ethics During the Tham Luang Cave Crisis Situation. Before we begin, I would like to personally thank our two special guests from Thai PBS, Mr. Pipope and Dr. Nattha, for coming to Stamford and being part of this seminar. Last month, 12 boys and the coach of the Wild Boar soccer team attracted the attention of not only people in Thailand, but also from all over the world. Media outlets quickly traveled to the cave to cover the fate of the soccer team. The media coverage of the Tham Luang crisis has brought the public's attention to the media and their ethics. Today, we have two journalists that were out on the field covering the international crisis. You'll be able to hear their story, and they will also shed light on the current ethical issues that the media face during the Tham Luang cave crisis situation. I hope everyone enjoys today's seminar, and I hope you learn a lot. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tina. Up next, I would like to invite the moderator of this event on the stage, Assistant Professor Ajahn Veerawan Vararuth and Honorary Dean, the Faculty of Communication Arts and Design. Prior to taking an executive role at Stamford, Ajahn Veerawan was a Vice President at MCOT and a news anchor for BBC Hotline News. Currently, she is also a host for Good Morning ASEAN FM 100.5. Please welcome, I'm sorry. And she is now also a board of directors at Nations Broadcasting Corporation Limited. Please welcome Ajahn Veerawan. And our first distinguished speaker, Mr. Pipope Panitchpakdi, has been taking roles as an executive officer, a producer, and expert for various media organizations, such as Thailand Media Fund, the Ministry of Culture, Thai Broadcasting Journalists Association, and the Nation Broadcasting Corporation Limited. Moreover, he also taught at Thammasat and Sinpakorn University. Mr. Pipope is now a member of the Board of Executives and Deputy Director General at Thai PBS. Please welcome Mr. Pipope. And our second distinguished speaker is Dr. Nattha Komolvadhin. Dr. Nattha was a TV host for BBC and a lecturer at Chiang Mai University. She has been giving lectures about media and women's studies at various universities. Currently, she is a deputy news director at Thai PBS and a host and editor for Teeny Thai PBS program at the Thai PBS. Please welcome Dr. Nattha. All right, I think our speakers are ready, and I hope everyone enjoyed this seminar and will learn a lot from this. All right, thank you very much. Now I'll pass on to the speakers.
Thank you, Ajahn Methi. This is the time. I think it will be very useful for our students. Particularly, we have two veterans from Thai PBS, and when you heard about introduction about their work, you will know very well that our university very happy and also honored to have these two guest speakers in our program today. And as you know very well about the incident or the crisis that happened last month, and the media cover widely all over the world, not only in Thailand, and every country also follow up this news story about whether the boy going to survive or not. Finally, lucky they all survive. But the question is, do the media already cover the things and also adhere to the code of ethics or not? So today we are going to have these two persons to be, as you know very well, our guests, honored guests, and also because of their work that they are accepted, and also they are the veteran. I say the word veteran. They are an expert in the media. So I also would like to begin our question, and also after the two guests already express the idea, we are going to allow the student to raise the questions. First of all, Ajahn Pipope, since you are the people, since you are the veteran, I put it that way, you won a lot of rewards, and also you produce a lot of documentary film and also documentary story. What do you think about, in general, overview of the media coverage of the 12 boys and one coach during that incident? What do you think about the coverage of the media?
Well, good morning all, and thank you for inviting me here. It's really hard to generalize, to come to the term, what do I think of media ethics during the cave incident, again, call it that. Because the news developed from a really local news, really small incident that happened really far away from Bangkok. And the people who respond to the news firsthand are those who are stationed at our northern rural, news bureau, Thai PBS. And it started to evolve to become national and international news as we witnessed the past few months. So I would say in general, the Thai media had tried to cover it, but in the way that it's been contextualized by the new media landscape. This is really important. That is, they're not operated in isolation or in the dark anymore. There are people that scrutinize, keep their eyes on what the Thai media and the media in general were doing at that point. So it turned out that the technology and the disruption in the media had created this dialogue of how the media should behave in a time of crisis. I would like to think that this is how we're gonna, at least me, how I'm gonna look at the incident. It's not about being right or wrong or being bad or good, but it's about things have changed so drastically that a lot of us journalists haven't adjusted accordingly. So in the beginning, I think it's business as usual. And by doing business as usual, treating as a local news or incidents of, football team got trapped in a cave, that's sensational. So it turned out to be a sensational approach. Superstition. Some people say the cave belongs to this lady that was cursed. You probably know the story well. So the approach in the beginning, not at Thai PBS, of course, because we are public station, more or less. The word is probably not a glamorous one. We are more sedated in a way. We're not so sensational. So we are a little bit slower, a little bit more calm in the way that we're reporting it. But it turns out that other stations are really active, and they approach it as a local, halfway superstitious, halfway sensational, and it's during the World Cup. So football team turns out to be something really sexy. journalists think that. So in the beginning, they are disgraced among local operators, and they're competing to try to first to tell the story what actually happened to this team, to these young people, and secondly, to investigate the operation, the rescue operation, in the way that most Thai media are prone to do. That is, to see whether there's some inefficiency in the way that things go. Because Thai media DNA is ingrained to think that government operation somehow have some loopholes. And it's our job to scrutinize them. So we held them accountable. We held the government accountable. We held the Navy accountable that, well, have you done a good job? So the relationship between journalists and Thai local officials turned out to be one of the, what's the word, of the investigation. And I think by doing that, every time they were asked to stay at one place, they would try to go the other way and try to find the best information. Of course, first, competition, but secondly, to be fair, they just try to do the public service and try to give in the best information that they can gain so the public can have access to what really was going on. But by trying to do that, and they also being portrayed by other media, so-called social media, I think there's a gap of understanding what proper journalism is about. I didn't defend that some went too far. They said ethics is a thin line, it's not the line that it's not a space that you safely hide behind. You have to be at the edge, because sometimes the best information that the public needs, it's so close to crossing the line of being a good and proper journalist. So that thin line was breached by some. I think not with bad intention, but I would say that not being aware of the context that they're operating in, that they also being scrutinized. So what turned out in the few days after the incident was that the social media started to hold Thai media accountable. It's funny, because they try to do their job, right? By scrutinize the rescue workers to see whether there's something not transparency going on. But at the same time, they didn't realize that by doing that, it turned to be what Thai people call bad manners. Not being polite, they're being too aggressive. How can they ask this kind of questions? Why they so, so untamed? Yeah, don't respect of the authority. Because at that point, people give their hearts to the children and they want things to work out well. And the Thai media was slow to adjust, and it took a while. And which venue who had ability to adjust and understand the circumstance, play well with the situation, I have to use that word, they survived the first criticism. But those who insist on doing the investigation and doing more tabloid style journalism, sensationalized, didn't survive the public scrutiny. So on the one hand, I look at it really positively. I think that the media had to be awakened to the fact that now they're not the one who control everything anymore. People also looking at it, but to be fair, I think we need to do this kind of elaboration, not to just say black or white, really bad ethics. Media fail in all circumstances. So for the first round, I think this is my take on the situation.
Okay, very good, thank you. I'm not going to summarize because you already heard about what people already said. They don't have bad or good for the work of the media. And also the social media play a lot of things nowadays in terms of reporting very fast. And when that is a general view of Kun Pipope, I would like to hear overview from Dr. Nattha. She also an anchor person. For your information, students and faculty members, Thai PBS and Stamford, we already signed the Memorandum of Understanding for Cooperation. Very good for us. Huh? Let's turn to Dr. Nattha. You know, Dr. Nattha, I admire her a lot. Every time, because I'm a new hunger person, every day, every day when I go back home, I have to, turn on TV, and Thai PBS also is one of my favorite channels, to check whether the news is correct, accurate or not, particularly during the big incident or the hot news. I follow up, and then to cross-check, I have to check with Thai PBS News. Anyway, Dr. Nattha, what do you think about the coverage of media during the crisis of the cave rescue operation?
Thank you very much, Dr. Veerawan, for giving me this opportunity to share my experience as a media members in covering of this Thai cave situation. As Kun Pipope has told you from the very beginning, it's sedated atmosphere from the very beginning from the media, but then we see how the media members have been much more active from the very unorganized situation in the beginning or just the first few weeks. And then you see how local reporters have been there at Tham Luang Cave to try to cover the situation, and then a few more TV stations send their crew to cover. And then we see, so suddenly Thailand has been on the front page or on global headlines by international news media outlet. And it turned out to be 2 weeks of the dramatic events that the best and the worst perhaps happened in Thailand. But I think it's very good and uplifting moment for the media to revise and to have lesson learned from this very incident, because it turned out that social media has been very influential in directing the way the media professional have to work or have to cover on this very incident. Especially in the beginning, you would see many media outlets or media members did Facebook Live in the very beginning. And then we got feedback or reaction from the local government, local governor, that the signal wasn't strong and they really needed to provide the operation function in front of the Tham Luang Cave. And that, for me, it like wake-up call that the media couldn't do whatever we would like to do, because we really have to think of what's the essence of this operation. The operation is to rescue the 12 footballers and the coach. That's the heart of the matter. It's not the media which is the heart of this situation. So we have to revise and to see what we can do under the limit in terms of communication equipment or the signal. And then we saw how the media outlet have to step back a little bit and to listen to what the local government would like us to cooperate more and coordinate more. But from the local government perspective, in the very beginning, they are unorganized as well in terms of giving us information or having press conference. Because if they can organize from the very beginning, the media perhaps wouldn't be intrusive, or we would know what's the source of information that we can rely on regularly every day. But because it's media practice that the media or journalists have to try to check information from the source or to approach the first-hand information as much as we can, because if there is no press conference or no direct source from the local government, that would be a big challenge for the media to cover this kind of incident. But it turned out that the Chiang Rai governor Governor Narongsak has been in charge, perhaps 4 or 5 days later, and the media also have to turn to PR Chiang Rai News Facebook page and Thai Navy SEAL page turned out to be good source of information. And the media also admits that we have to provide accurate information for the public. That's the landscape that you see. And given the information that you see, more than 1,000 journalists crew covering this incident. So suddenly, Tham Luang Cave has been on the global spotlight of having more than 1,000 journalists covering this event. So you can imagine how competitive situation can be for local Thai journalists and foreign media members to try to get access to all the information to try to cover this incident. But for us, I agree with Khun Pipope that social media has become very powerful in terms of holding all the media accountable in reporting this event, because otherwise you would see perhaps the media will be running around trying to interview family members, trying to interview the teacher or community members. But because we have to be more moderate and to think of respect and privacy for the family members of all those 12 footballers. So it wake up call for the media as well that this is the issue that we have to come back to professionalism, because we cannot allow the demand of the social media or the landscape of the new media to direct us to just provide quantitative news, or just to provide news as often or as frequent as possible, because that's not the point. We have to come back to provide with quality, accuracy, and rounded news as much as possible. So that's the big challenge, because we are being watched not by the public from TV audience, but from the general public all over the world, which really have their own opinions, have their own voice, and whatever we say, whatever we cover, and whatever we show on the social media, we would be commented. Just even one line of the opinion on Facebook Live can have impact on editorial judgment or the news editorial department at every station, I guess. Especially that's the case for the Thai PBS, because we are very much aware of what the public opinion is in this situation. So we are much more aware, and we are very careful in terms of the storyline or the content, the words we choose to describe the situation. All reporters in the field have to be very much aware of this kind of situation, and we cannot just say whatever we like to say, and the quality comes first in this situation. And the media ethics also coming along the line that we have to think very much and be very sensitive of the issue. And I think overall for Thai experience, for Thai journalist experience, this is brand new experience that we haven't faced in a long, long time. And to think good thing about it is to come back and to rely on media professionalism, moral ground principle of media ethics, impartiality, accuracy, and to respect of personal or privacy that bring us back to the basic of professional journalism. I think that's the good thing that come out from this very incident.
Thank you. That also very interesting for your point of view, particularly the changing of the media landscape, particularly the role of the social media. And this is also encouraged, the media practitioner to look at themselves, to look back, because of the public have a lot of criticism about the role of the media in coverage of this incident. And not only that, as you mentioned, that it's a brand new for the media to wear, because never before that we experienced this kind of incident. And also not only cover in